My name is Garrett Innenbach, and the thing that I am pitching to you guys today would be known as the nursing app. But in order to do a nursing app, you would have to start out by doing a medical staffing company and then slowly work your way into a medical app that would make it easier and more convenient to have people apply, get hired, and work remotely. So, my startup cost I figured from everything would be about $74,000, and I've wrote it down on how much each of this would cost. Um, I would my corporate structure would be an LLC, which would require me to get that sort of licensing, which I could do for between 100 to $500 on LegalZoom.com. I would be able to do this because my co-founder that I will have and my business partner would have experience in IT, as well as LegalZoom is very user friendly. Therefore, we'd be able to do it for very cheap, and it would be effective, and it would be able to work for our company. The next thing I would use is insurance, insurance for workman's comp. But since you're working in the medical field, this is very, very important because people get hurt all the time in the medical field whenever they aren't trained properly. Um, Hoyer lifts fall, needle sticks, stuff like that. So I figured out that at first would be about a little over $1,000 a month, but I would go ahead and pay the first 6 months out. Another thing that's hard for a medical staffing company to get started is whenever you're writing contracts, you would have to be able to pay for the first 60 days of all of your payroll. So every single person that you would have to pay for them for 60 days. So whenever we first started up, we'd want to have very few employees. So at first so it would be a low gradual step every time to get closer to the nursing agency. So we'd work full time and work on the side part time and have 10 employees underneath us. Then the next fee I had was about $1,100 because most attorneys they charge about $185 an hour, and I figured that it would take anywhere from 5 to 6 hours in order to get all of our contract written out. We would have what we'd want, and then we could mix and match to work best for our company. And then I got about $3,000 for our website, which would be something else that would be extremely important because one of the co-founders, he builds websites and he has experience in that. So essentially all we'd have to do is buy certain features that we liked and things like that. So I would say we could build a very good website within $3,000. Then I would say that for our first round of hiring, we'd probably pay $500 in background checks. You have to run 5 background checks: the FCSR, license verify, the EDL, as well as a drug screen and an OIG as well. So you have 5 different background checks that they have to go through, and I would say that it's about $500 for each drug screen and all of the background checks in one. And the next thing I would do is I would use Indeed to recruit. I currently do this at my job, and I have hired over 95 people on less than $200. So I would say we could allocate $500 for at least the first round. Branding, I would put $2,000 into branding. Branding is extremely important in marketing and healthcare because there's so much competition. So we would have a website designs, we'd have pins, we'd have t-shirts and scrub tops that we would put all of our money into in order to brand effectively. The next thing I would do is I would use Facebook as a way to brand. I would have giveaways each month and get people that were on social media very well. They would follow the company very well, and we would promote it as we would hire at specific times and only get specific people that we wanted to, because at the very beginning we're trying to have very, very small employment, so we want to make sure that everybody we get in there is exceptional. So we would do lots of things to ensure this. Then after that, we would start putting away money. I say we put about $5,000 just in the app development from the very beginning, just to get it up and going. And then after that, I would say we have about $500 in equipment such as printers and scanners and stuff like that. At first, we would not have an actual office. We would work from home because we both have full-time. All of us have full-time jobs, so that's the way that we would do that. The next thing I would like to talk about is how we would form our business. It would be an LLC. Since we have 3 people, we would not want to do a sole proprietorship or a partnership, because we would also want our liabilities off of the business. In a sole proprietorship, if somebody sues you, they can take your houses and your cars and anything that you own, and we would not want that. And we also wouldn't want to run like a publicly used corporation, because we're not big enough, and we don't want to have a board of directors that tell us what to do. As a company, we want our co-founders telling us what we want to do and looking at our vision. So right here, I kind of have a chart about the structure of it. So what we would do is we'd have 3 co-founders. One would specialize in IT, which we do have. One would be a medical recruiter, so he would also be a co-founder. And then we'd have one that specializes in HR. While we're doing this, each individual person would have a sector of employees that they have, and they would be the staffer as well as the payroll there. So everybody has a very diverse set here. So each person, when we first start out, we'd have 10 employees. Each person would have about 3 people, and then one would have 4. So then after that hierarchy comes our people that work for us that are our employees. And that would be the healthcare professionals, which is everybody that's out working in the field. After that would be our attorney that we would have on retainer. And his job would specifically be, whenever we get contracts, not everyone's going to agree with what we have, but they can tell us how they can tweak it so we can reach a deal. We would always have the attorney on retainer, and we would send the contract to him and tell him what they want differently, and he could tweak it for us. Then after that, we would have a nursing home medical recruiter. So essentially his job is the same as the medical recruiter, except he goes to facilities and pitches to them. So this would be a person that we would put on kind of like a salary, and then every single time that he got a new facility, we would give him some sort of bonus. And then what makes our company unique is that people could refer people and get a different of the profit margin. So essentially what we do is we'd have the profit margin after payroll, which is what we charge the facilities, and we would charge them for being the middleman fee, for carrying their insurance, running their background checks, keeping all the information in check with them, as well as essentially just being their company that they work for, you know. So that's what we would do. And our transparency we'd tell everybody whenever we hired them how much they make. So then that would give us the opportunity to give them some sort of reimbursement for referrals. And so what we do is we'd give them 5% of the profit margin of the person that they referred, and that would be the course of time. What we would do to ensure that everybody would work is at the end of the year, you would have to average 20 hours a week in order to get that referral. And when they reach that threshold, they would get it in a sort of a bonus at the end of the year. Or say whenever they reach 20 hours, that individual would get all the referral bonuses of all the profit margin of the hours that the people worked. We would track this by running, it's called a ebook. We could run it that way. There's a lot of different apps that we could use to do this. So we would just pick whichever one looks best for us as a company. We have not reached this threshold because we're just starting this business and we're starting about talking it. So the strengths of our company would be transparency, which there's no other nursing agency in this whole country that does transparency this way. It's pretty secretive among staffing agencies. The next thing would be the referral bonus. That's going to get retention really well. So if you had somebody that worked like 20 hours a week for you for the whole entire year, you would get an extra $520. You know, most people's referral bonuses are, you know, we'll give you $10, $100 if you refer somebody, and then you just don't ever see that $100 again after you get that $100. So what this would do is keep people promoting our business as well as making money while they do it. So they're not going to want to leave the company for those reasons, because not only do we have competitive salary, but we also have a referral bonus for every year that you stay. Another thing that would be extremely important is, since we're transparent, we could show all of our profit, and therefore we would give out profit bonuses. So for instance, say we're making $100,000, we got up to $200,000, we would tell everybody in the business that since we increased, we'll give everyone a $2,000 bonus, which would make them work really hard. And this would be people in the office, so this would be the co-founders, the recruiter, and stuff like that. So we would essentially shell out six to $8 grand, but we increased our profit by $100,000. And if you have your transparency shown in the profit margin as a goal, then that means that you can see everything happening, and therefore you seem important and you feel like your job makes a difference in the profit margin. Another thing we would do is that we'd leave few hours on the table, because we would also have a bonus system that 8 hours before the shift that was required. So if the shift starts at 3 o'clock, at 6 o'clock in the morning, we would now offer a $25 bonus. With a profit margin of $11 per hour, in an 8-hour shift, you'd make $88. So if 8 hours before I offered you 25, someone may not pick that up. And if it's left on the table, you would get $0. But if you offered a $25 bonus 8 hours before and a $50 bonus 4 hours before, somebody would pick that up. And worst case scenario, you make $38, which is better than nothing at all. I think this would have a huge help on us. Then after that, we'd have a lateral corporate structure, so people could come in with an open door policy and talk to us. We also have a diversifying the founders. So each one of us has a different function in the system that each of us has experience in. So one of us has HR, one of us has medical recruiting, one has IT. Those are huge facets within the company, and therefore it'll make it more successful. Then we have the app, and this is what the app will look like. This is just a small thing. It would be that you could get in on the computer and you take a picture of your resume, or link it on your computer, because we'd have an app and a website, and you could put your resume in there. And then you got your CPR card, you could put that in there. You could put your driver's license, social security card, as well as your immunizations. And so therefore we could literally hire people remotely. So if we had someone that needed needs in Springfield, we could hire someone in Springfield over the phone, call their references and all that. So that is a fast way to do it, and we could start doing remotely and getting travel contracts based off the app, put a bunch of ads out in PRN. A lot of opportunities we have in this company is cheap marketing. We have our unique competitive advantages. We also have nursing shortages, which is something that's huge in this country, because nurses are finding loopholes to make more money. Competition is breeding good opportunities for nurses, such as retirement, paying off college loans, and things like that. So people would be very easily to hop off their agency to come work for ours with these competitive advantages. That's the opportunities. Our weaknesses are we don't have as much capital, but it's only $76,000. We could get a bank loan for that with 3 people. Another thing is we don't have any nursing or legal experience, but we would hire on an on-call nurse as well as an attorney. And with a flat corporate structure, we wouldn't have a leader, but that is something that we'd work on as someone being the leader. Threats is expansion. We need to expand, as well as getting reliable workers. But this is my pitch, and would you give me money if this was my pitch to you? Thank you very much.